So you know how people be like, I ignored my avocados for 2 seconds and they went bad? That can never happen in the world of bananas, because you'll always have something to use the bananas for. Here I had these nearly dead bananas, literally, that I used to make kabalagala, which is a Ugandan pancake. I started by assembling my ingredients and then going straight into the process. I peeled the bananas and of course they still looked okay on the inside. I started to mash them very gently. These aren't traditionally the bananas that I used for kabalagala, but they'll work. So I mashed them until I form a paste that looks like baby food, like that, and then start to add in the flour in parts. The measurement of the flour is added in the caption. Yeah, and then I start to fold it in gently into the mashed banana, making sure that I do not spread the cassava flour dust everywhere, but also making sure that it doesn't go into the banana too fast. Yeah, at the stage where it looks kind of like this, I will bring my twist, which is a bit of ginger spice, so that it doesn't taste like the usual pancakes. I put about a half a teaspoonful and then continued mixing. I also added about a half a teaspoonful of baking powder before adding in some more cassava flour, and then continue to mix. Ordinarily I wouldn't add baking powder, but since I'm using bogoya, I shall need the extra boost. At this point I was rethinking why I used the fork and I should have used my hands instead, because you get to feel the texture much better. So at this point I'll flip it over onto my surface and then add a little more flour for the kneading to be completed, but on the surface. I'll go in gently like so while adding the flour bit by bit until it starts to look like this. It's smoother, it's more uniform to touch, and it can be easily rolled. So I'll go ahead and add a lot of flour onto the table, making sure that the dough does not stick while I roll it out. Also, I do not press my rolling pin very hard into the surface. I add these holes because it's force of habit. I usually add them when I make like mandazi, and then I'll go in with the pastry cutter. I would like for my pancakes to be small, so I use a small pastry cutter. I will also roll it out about an inch thick, so it isn't too thick. When I fry it, it will end up crispy. I then lift them off the surface gently so that they do not break, and this is how they turn out. Going into the heat, I'll add just a bit of oil, enough to shallow fry them. I'll go in one by one, placing each carefully